Hello, welcome. How am I coming in? Audio, visual, connection, etc. Welcome, Dee Dee. Hello, Ryan. Welcome. Kim, welcome. All right, we'll chant. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sabbe sankara anicchati yadapanyaya pasati yatta nibindati dukke esamaggo visuddhaya. Sabbe sankara dukkati yadapanyaya pasati yatta nibindati dukke esamaggo visuddhaya. Sabbe dhamma anattati yadapanyaya pasati atta nibindati dukke esamaggo visuddhaya. English. Impermanent is all that is conditioned. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purity. Unsatisfactory is all that is conditioned. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purity. Without self are all Dhammas. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purity. Hello, Tom and Shay. Welcome. All right. In about a minute or so, we'll get started with our meditation. Hope everybody is doing well today. Hello, Sky. Welcome. Shay, I'm doing well. I am beginning the process of studying for creating the 501c3, which we will be doing by the end of the year. So things are progressing for Colorado. If all goes well, by the end of this year, Magaseka will be a real 501c3 organization. All right, let's do our meditation. So, hello, Jantha, welcome. Set your body up in whatever comfortable and stable position works for you. Whether standing, sitting in a chair or meditation cushion, etc. start by doing a mindful scan of the body, starting from the feet and moving up to the head. Begin by placing your focus and mindfulness on the feet. By placing focus, this means to focus in on any feeling or sensation in that part of the body, such as the feeling of the feet pressing against the floor, the cushion, the opposite leg, etc. Move up through the ankles and the calves. Through the knees, into the thighs. What is the feeling of the thighs pressing against the chair, the cushion? Up through to the hips and pelvis, observing how the angle of the pelvis impacts your posture. When doing this mindful scanning to adjust your posture, it may be necessary to come back to the pelvis and the angle of the pelvis multiple times, including as we move up into the spine. It's a very important part to pay attention to for the balance and stability of your posture. When you're ready, move up the spine through the abdomen and the chest, checking that the spine is not leaning or slouching here or there, nor that you're trying to force the spine to be very straight. way the spine is disposed as you're doing sitting meditation will have a great impact on whether you have pain and discomfort over time. And remember, the spine is connected to the pelvis, so even during the meditation, if you notice you're slouching and things like this, you may need to check the angle of your pelvis. Quickly going through the whole body like we've been doing. Move up to the shoulders, make sure they're hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. Down through to the elbows and hands, observing how the position of the elbows and hands also impacts your posture, and your spine especially. And finally up to the head, checking that the head is also not leaning and slouching here or there, chin parallel to the floor. When you're done setting up your body in a comfortable and stable position, let the body go and take 3 deep breaths. Then let the breath go. From here on in, try not to manipulate or control the breath in any way. Your body has been breathing from the moment you were born and will continue to do so until the second you die. It doesn't need you to do its job. Your job is to simply observe, investigate, and abide with the breath as the body breathes in and the body breathes out. Friends, we come to this meditation with many responsibilities, worries, and burdens, many things that will seek to come to our mind as we follow the breath. Concerns about family and friends, work and school, the world, the society. For the time of this meditation, we practice laying down our burdens, letting go. There'll be plenty of time to pick your burdens up again later. But for now, lay your burdens down like a hiker on a long journey lays down their heavy backpack to rest, and follow the breath. As you're following your breath, the mind will become bored, will seek to run away to the past or the future, or else the world into various stories and fantasies, or an external distraction like a sound will arise and your mind will become agitated and chase after it. When this happens, you will be completely lost in thought worlds, oblivious. But after a time, it will slowly start to dawn on you that you have been taken away from the breath. When that dawning realization arises, acknowledge you've been taken away from the breath and try to come back to full focus and mindfulness. Then practice letting go of the distraction if it's still there by neither getting agitated and trying to push it away, nor by continuing to be excited and infatuated by it. See if you can do your best to let it go, to let it be, to give it no effort, energy, or attention. And then return to the breath. No matter how many times you get distracted away, simply acknowledge, let go, and return. No need for frustration, agitation, and the fact that you've been distracted away. Just come back to the breath and keep following. Acknowledge, let go, and return. Always come back to the breath. The breath is home base. It's always there, doing its job, ready for you to come follow it towards a more calm and tranquil mind. Slowly open your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you and your body's position in it, reflecting on the state of your mind before and after the meditation, and contemplating any experiences that you may have had that stood out. Welcome, friends. It is Monday night. We are in the middle of Dhammapalooza, the festival of Dhamma with the Magsaysay community, where we do a variety of Dhamma-related activities. Let's see, welcome Gregory, welcome Michelle, welcome Rick, and welcome Jay. So just as a news update, things have, in terms of Colorado, have changed a little bit. We are actually now, I'm literally studying it and getting things together and talking to other abbots of monasteries. Magsaysay 501 should be a 501c3 organization by the end of the year in Colorado. So we are moving forward. We're not quite to the level we need to support the apartment, the Magsaysay Vihara yet, but we're close. And the universe or intuition or whatever is telling me that we need to create the 501c3 on advice from some monastics and some other things that are happening. So by the end of the year, hopefully, this thing that I've been talking about for a number of years should be a reality. Magsaysay should be a 501c3 a religious organization in Colorado. And then hopefully by this time next year, Magsaysay Vihara in Colorado will be established. So things are looking up. We'll have to see how it goes, but hello Tian, welcome. All right. So now it's time for Dhamma Talk. If you have any questions you'd like me to answer, we will have probably a little bit of time. I'll give a little time for questions if there are any. You could always just type them in the chat. So at any time during the stream, if you type a question in the chat, I will address it. Might not be exactly right then and there, but so it's time for the Dhamma Talk. And the Dhamma Talk that I am basing the talk on is based on a very important, one of my favorite suttas. And I put the link to the sutta in the chat. It is Samyutta Nikaya 3.21. So in this sutta, the Buddha talks about 4 kinds of persons. If you've been hearing me talk long enough, you know I like four kinds of persons. I bring up lots of 4 kinds of persons because there are lots of 4 kinds of persons. But in this specific sutta, the Buddha is talking about 4 kinds of persons based on how they're born and where they're going. So this is a sutta about karma. So who are these 4 kinds of persons? Well, there's a person who is born in darkness and heading towards darkness. There's a person who is born in darkness and heading towards light. There's a person who is born in light and heading towards darkness. And there's a person who is born in light and heading towards light. So these are the 4 kinds of persons in the sutta. Now, the Buddha defines What does born in darkness and born in light mean? So born in darkness means you're born ugly, deformed, with bad health, to a poor family. Basically, you can think of born in darkness as like all the possible cards that you could have are all bad. That's like born in darkness. And similarly, or opposite wise, born in light is the total opposite. You're born healthy, your family's well off, everybody's healthy, you have a good family, etc., all these things. So that's what born in darkness and born in light means. And as the Buddha quite clearly tells us in multiple suttas, the conditions of how we are born are directly related to our karma. So you did deeds in the past that have created the conditions in which you are born. Now, this is only half the story. Because if you notice, whether you're born in darkness or born in light, the four kinds of persons are people who are going towards darkness or going towards light. What does going towards darkness mean? This is a person who, born in darkness, going towards darkness. Going towards darkness means that this person is doing evil deeds, is not moral, right? Not trying to cultivate the mind. This person is doing things that will lead them to more being born in darkness in the future. Doing lots of evil, unskillful, unwholesome deeds with no ethics, no morals. So that's what we mean going towards darkness. And so whether you're born in the light or born in the dark, you can go towards darkness. What about born in the light or going towards the light? This is a person who does good deeds, skillful deeds, develops their virtue, develops their morality, cultivates the mind. So it's important to see that no matter what the conditions of your birth, you actually have a choice. You can head towards the light or head towards the darkness. Now, depending on things, heading towards one or the other might be easier. It might be an easier flow of the river. But as we know, the Buddhist practice goes against the stream. So we have a choice, and it's very important, isn't it? Because people can have like a fatalism for themselves or for other people, based on, oh, this person's born this way, that's, they're just kind of stuck in the situation, they don't have any other choice or whatever. Right? Maybe a person's born in darkness, and we have that thought. A person born in the light, we have maybe even aversions to it. Oh, they must only have this, they're only this way because their family's evil and everybody's evil and they do evil things. Right? Also, not always the case, and not necessarily the path. Whether you're born in darkness, born in light, doesn't matter. That's just your past karma. Your past karma has fruited. So now what? Right? However your past karma has fruited, you're here now in this situation. What path are you choosing? Where are you heading? Because guess what? How you choose to head is how you are setting the conditions of future birth. Do you want to have more and more future births? Do you want to kind of be stuck in a rut? Right? Sure, maybe if you're born in darkness, it's easier to head towards darkness, and you're born in darkness again. You're just kind of stuck in this cycle, this rut. All right, we see this in the world. We see this even in ourselves. Maybe people dealing with depression and drug use and all these kind of things. It just spirals down. And likewise, maybe you're born rich and everything's good. And so you don't have any, no struggles. Maybe you do have struggles. Just because you're born rich doesn't mean you have no struggles. There's suffering no matter how you're born, no matter what your family is, there's suffering because you're in the samsaric state. But say a person, okay, they're born rich, everything's good for them. Do those people tend to end up going to the light? You know how most like family dynasties, the grandfather works their ass off. They come from another country or whatever. They work their ass off. They make money. They build, something from the ground up. The children continue that. And by the third generation, by the grandchildren who have no sense of what it took to create that, it falls apart. Most corporations, most family wealth doesn't last like 3 generations. So yeah, if you're born, everything's good. Maybe there is a tendency towards being arrogant and not grateful and all these things. Who knows? It depends on the person. It depends on the situation. I'm just acknowledging that depending on the conditions of your birth, there might be an inclination towards one thing or the other. But the purpose of this sutta is telling us what the 5th subject for contemplation is telling us. Right? The 5 subjects of contemplation. I'm subject to old age, sickness, death, loss, and I am the owner of my actions, heir of my actions. My actions are my relative. Whatever I do for good or for ill, to that I shall be the heir. So the Buddha is telling us, just because how we're born does not determine our future. We can let it do that, but we don't have to. We can try to head towards the light. We can try to, no matter what our circumstances are, our situation is, we can try to head towards the light. We can try to develop our ethics and our virtue. We can try to cultivate our mind. No matter what conditions are around us, we can try to do that. Of course, the conditions will make things harder or make things easier, for sure. But still, we can choose. We don't have to let that control us. We don't have to let that limit our choices. We can choose to head towards the light. Indeed, isn't that, when you look at, I do, you love stories, and by extension, movies are stories, video games are stories, all this. You love stories. One of the most beloved archetypical stories is someone born in darkness and heading towards the light. Right? And one example that I always think about when I think about that, the born in darkness heading towards the light, is that old Will Smith movie, Pursuit of Happiness. Right? Where he's poor and he's a son and they're homeless and he's just struggling to get a job and to, all this kind of stuff. And you watch that movie and you're just with him the whole time, just like, yes, and he's really trying to actually be good. He's trying to, he's not trying to be unethical and things like that. He's really trying to be good, really trying to set up a good life for himself and his son. Right? And we're like, yes, and people see that and they want to help people like that. Right? Because we know that is such a wonderful thing for somebody to do. Right? To try to, no matter what their circumstances, to overcome that, to try to be a better person. Right? That's such a wonderful archetypal story that we love deep down. And we hope and we want those kind of people to succeed. So this story is not new, right? This is not a new story. This is ancient. It's an archetype. Right? We see this person born in the dark and heading towards the light. And maybe even the person born in the light and heading towards the light, maybe they have to deal with a bunch of stuff, people not even trusting them, not thinking that they're actually good. They're only doing it because they want to get more money or whatever, or they never know if they actually have a friend or a spouse that actually wants to be their friend for anything but their money, right? Or their power or whatever, right? But that also is a good story. Somebody who is born in the light and, they have everything good going for them, and they still try to be moral, ethical, good people and make things better for themselves and others. That's also a great story. Right? So these four kinds of persons, this sutta can be very overlooked, but it goes really deep. Right? It's really connected with the Buddhist teachings, with karma, with our intentional action, with our attitude towards how we exist in the world, how we choose to live, our right livelihood, which was the talk last week, actually. Right? No matter what my situation, I will choose to head towards the light. And we have actually a prime example of this in the suttas. Although technically this story goes outside of the suttas, but the person who the story is about is Anathapindika. Right? We know Anathapindika that's not his name. His name is like Sudatta or something like that, if I remember. I always mix up his name and Sariputta's name because they're very close. I think they're both Sud something. But Anathapindika was given this name by the people of the city. Pindapat. Pindika is alms. Anatta is one who gives alms. So Anathapindika is one who gives alms. So we have a person who is so great in generosity. He's like the, like the billionaire of his day, right? He's like immensely rich. And he's so generous that the people of the city actually give him a nickname, right? And once the Buddha comes around, he becomes the top male benefactor of the Sangha, right? He buys Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery, Anathapindika's park, which is probably it might be my favorite Buddhist place on the planet. When I visited it, I had such a, it was a very emotional, intuitive experience. But anyway, to get this park, this place for the Buddha, he had to cover it every inch with a gold coin, right, to pay off the prince before the prince would give it to him. Right, so we have somebody who is so generous, so moral, so good. And as the story goes, this is not in the suttas. This is later stuff, but it's still great. I love it. Just because a story is not in the suttas doesn't mean it's not valuable. That is where I will give some allowance to stories, right? Because the message is not in the exactness, if this was real or not. The message is in the story itself. And so the story goes that Anathapindika, and he would give loans to people without extra interest, and without, he wouldn't he'd kind of be like, pay me back when you can or whatever. And what happens when you do that? Nobody pays you back, right? Nobody's going to pay you back. Why do you think mafioso people have to go and break your knuckles or whatever to get your money back, right? Because they know the human nature is, if I'm going to give you money, you're going to pay me back. You're not going to pay me back. That's just not how it goes. Human nature is not that. You are not going to get paid back the money you give, right? So Anathapindika is just giving loans to people. Yeah, pay me. Guess what happens? Nobody paid him back. And then he had some kind of trade shipment got lost at sea. So he basically became a pauper. He became dirt poor. And what did he do? He kept giving. He kept practicing. He kept developing his morality. He kept giving what he could to the Sangha. And what happened? He became richer than he was before. Money started coming back to him. Right? And he literally, so this is somebody who, no matter what his situation, whether he's the billionaire or the dirt poor, he did the same thing. He headed towards the light. And this is a good example for all of us. No matter what our situation, head towards the light. It's the same. This is also basically the same message of the simile of the mountains, right? The mountains are closing in. Great king, if your scouts told you that mountains tall as the sky were coming in from all four directions, killing everything in their wake, what would you do? The king says, what can one do but to practice Dhamma and do good deeds? No matter what your situation in life, what can you do but practice Dhamma and do good deeds? Right? You can do that. You don't need any certain conditions to be able to do that. You can do that under any conditions. You can always practice the Dhamma. So this is this wonderful message of this four kinds of person sutta. It's a very hopeful, powerful, beautiful message of one who, no matter you're born in darkness or in the light, to head towards the light. Don't head towards the darkness, because it will just make whatever suffering you have, it will just make it worse. All right. I think we are good. Tian says, I think the best one is that somehow we are being led to the Buddhist path, whether we are born in light or dark. And that is a real blessing. Well, that is because of our past karma. That is because in past lives um, we have practiced the Dhamma, or we've had some kind of connection to the Dhamma. But once you start building that lifetime after lifetime, you won't be far from it. You know, you'll be able to find it some way or another. The movie Flight. I think I vaguely remember that. I think that movie came out like the year or two before I left to become a monk. Wasn't he like a drunk and like an alcoholic airline pilot or something like that? And he like did something. He saved people, saved the flight. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Yeah, we love those stories, man. And we should because they're inspiring. Because most people don't do that, and it's not that common. But it's something that we all wish we could do. We can do it. Sky kind of has a question, I think. Um, I used to do this all the time, but I keep forgetting to do this now. I was curious about the sutta that talks about someone using old karma, and I wondered how it pertains to how we perceive people live so easily, appearing to have everything at their fingertips, beauty, etc. Well, no, I mean, the Buddha, and you can see this in the Majjhima Nikaya, in the lesser and greater um, Kama Sutta. So we could see, like, if you are, you know, if you do really good deeds, you're very generous. The more generous you are in past lives, the more rich you will be in this life. That kind of stuff, right? There's lots of you know, there's lots of that kind of stuff in the suttas. Of course, there is my favorite. I'll give an example of this. It's actually in the Maggaseka chanting book. I don't remember exactly where though. Let me see if I can find it. Ah, here we go. Let's see if I can share the screen here. Go back to the Maggaseka chanting book. Giving food, one gives strength. Giving clothes, one gives beauty. Giving transport, one gives delight. Giving lamps, one gives sight. Giving shelter, one gives all. The one who instructs in the Dhamma, the excellent teaching of the Buddha, such a person gives ambrosia. Right? So we have lines like this, and this is in the the chanting of called Dana, traditional, I think Sri Lankan chant. But right. Tom says my favorite apocryphal Buddhist story is how he got the snails on his head. I actually don't know that story. I don't think I've ever even heard it. Um, All right. Let's see, we're at 8:04. Do we have any more questions or comments? If not, we can maybe go to reading some Terry and Terragata. There we go. Yeah, because I don't want to start another sutta today. Because we had a good talk and we have people with questions and discussions. So if we keep that up, then that's fine too. Um, I know a person who would get so much suffering for handing $1 out during mass. What kind of karma? Well, I mean, even if they're like kind of stingy and greedy and they feel suffering from handing out the dollar, if even if it wasn't purely without any expectations or maybe not fully wanting to give it, if they really gave it and they let it go, then that's still good. I mean, that's still good. You know, doing that over a lifetime, you can start to change, and that's good for future lifetimes too. Ah, thank you, Tom. Telling the story of how the Buddha got his curls or his whatever stale head. Uh, all right, let's share screen. Read a little Therigatha. Those of you who don't know, these we're going to be reading now are the verses from senior bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, male and female monastics, who lived at the time of the Buddha and who became awakened. These are like poetic verses. Piyanjan, Piyanjaha. Settle down when others spring up when others settle down. Remain when others have departed. Don't delight when others delight. Hatta roha putta. Whenever you see a putta, putta means son. So this person's name is literally the son of Hattaroha. Right? That's the person's name. Is literally son of this person. Or at least the person's name in the suttas. I mean, meaning we don't know their actual name, but this is what people knew this person as. In the past my mind wandered, how it wished, where it liked, as it pleased. Now I'll carefully guide it, as a trainer with a hook guides a running elephant. Mendacira. Transmigrating through countless rebirths, I've journeyed without reward. I've suffered, but now the mass of suffering has fallen away. Rakita. All my lust is given up, all my hate is eradicated, all my delusion is gone. I'm cooled and quenched. Ugga. Any deeds I have done, a little or a lot, are all completely exhausted. Now there'll be no more future lives. And one more. Samittigutta. Any bad things I've done in previous lives are to be experienced right here, not in any other place. All right, let's hear from the bhikkhunis. Vasekti. Struck down with grief for my son, deranged out of my mind, nude, my hair flying, I wandered here and there. I lived on rubbish heaps, in cemeteries and highways. For 3 years I wandered, stricken by hunger and thirst. Then I saw the Holy One, back at the city of Mithila. Tamer of the untamed, the awakened one fears nothing from any quarter. Regaining my mind, I paid homage and sat down. Out of compassion, Gautama taught me the Dhamma. After hearing his teaching, I went forth to homelessness. Applying myself to the teacher's words, I realized the state of grace. All sorrows are cut off, given up, they end here. I fully understood the basis from which grief comes to be. Kema. You're so young and beautiful. I too am young, just a youth. Come, Kema, let us enjoy the music of a five-piece band. And then, so this is a person, like a young woman or a young man, saying, Kema, you're young. What are you doing with this? What are you being a monk for? Come, let's go enjoy. Let's go party. Let's go to the dance. Let's go to the club or whatever. And so then this is Kema's response. This body is rotting, ailing, and frail. I'm horrified and repelled by it, and I've eradicated sensual craving. So this means that they're either awakened or that they're a non-returner. But usually these monks, the monastics, are awakened here speaking. Sensual pleasures are like swords and spears. The aggregates are their chopping block. What you call erotic delight is now no delight for me. Relishing is banished in every respect, and the massive darkness is shattered. So yeah, they're awakened. So know this, wicked one, you're beaten, Terminator. Worshipping the stars, serving the sacred flame in a grove, failing to grasp the true nature of things. Foolish me, I thought this was purity. But now I worship the awakened one, supreme among men, doing the teacher's bidding. I am released from all suffering. That was cool. That was a good one. I like that one. All right. Sujata. I was adorned with jewelry and all dressed up, with garlands and sandalwood makeup piled on, all covered over with decorations and surrounded by my maids. Taking food and drink, staples and dainties in no small amount, I left the house and took myself to the park. I enjoyed myself there and played about. and then returning to my own house, I saw a monastic dwelling. And so I entered the Anjana grove at Saketa. Seeing the light of the world, I paid homage and sat down. Light of the world is an epithet for the Buddha. Out of compassion, the clear-eyed one taught me the Dhamma. When I heard the great seer, I penetrated the truth. Right there I found the stainless Dhamma, the state free of death. Then, having understood the true teaching, I went forth to homelessness. I've attained the three knowledges. The Buddha's bidding was not in vain. All right, let's do one more. Anopama. I was born into an eminent family, affluent and wealthy, endowed with a beautiful complexion and figure. Majja's true-born daughter. So this is a person who is born in the light, right? Beautiful and wealthy. I was sought by princes, coveted by sons of the wealthy. One sent a messenger to my father, give me Anopama. However much your daughter Anopama weighs, I'll give you 8 times that in gold coins and gems. When I saw the awakened one, the world's elder, unsurpassed, I paid homage at his feet and withdrew to one side. Out of compassion, Gautama taught me the Dhamma. While sitting in that seat, I realized the third fruit. Then, having shaved off my hair, I went forth into homelessness. This is the 7th day since my craving dried up. Let's see. Stop sharing. Didi says, I do not understand the goodness of homelessness. Didi, homelessness in the context of the suttas is becoming a monastic. One is without home. So it is going from home to homelessness, going from being a householder to a monastic. All right, any final questions, comments? So we come to close to the end of another Dhammapalooza. Right? Didi says, "Shoo, yeah, it's okay, Didi. You don't have to. You don't have to become homeless in the secular point of way of the word." My on my YouTube channel here, there's a playlist called "Journey into Homelessness," and it's me doing a video log of from going all the way back to 2011, 2012, and me as a layperson. And you can go there. You can watch the video of me talking. I'm talking to Bhavana, and I think I'm going to go, in such a day to become a monk, and blah 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 blah. And you can watch videos of the whole process, and then me becoming a monk, and then every year, 1 month, 1 year as a bhikkhu, 2 years as a bhikkhu. Actually, I skipped 8 years. I have to do a 9 year as a bhikkhu coming up in the next month or so. Um, but you can go to that playlist and see all that video. That it's called The Journey into Homelessness, and that has confused, like, some random people on the internet who found it would be like, "You're not homeless. What is this kind of homeless?" This kind of thing. But this is the word meaning becoming a monastic. And for the last 5 years, I've been truly homeless, truly a nomad, and hopefully by next year, at 6 years to being a nomad, that will have ended, and I'll be settled in Colorado to begin the long, hard journey of building Magaseka. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I think we are good to do business. So for those of you who might see this or have seen it or might see it in the future for the first time, and you'd like to know more about myself, Bhante Jayasara, and the organization Maggaseka, which is an aspiring Buddhist organization, hopefully to be completely in existence by the end of this year, you can go to the website on the screen, maggaseka.org, maggaseka.org, and there you can find all news and information related to myself and the organization. You can find articles and links to social media and various other things that I do. For instance, this weekend coming up, we have a retreat, a Zoom weekend retreat on the 3 characteristics of existence. Plenty of spots open as always. I mean, it's virtual, so it's not like there's a limit. So anyone who wants to join and can do so. All right. Let's share merit and call it a night. Will I be recording it? Yes, I record every retreat. Usually I record it unlisted. I think this is the first time I'm doing a 3 characteristic of existence retreat, and the first time I usually make it public. So you should be able to see it, because like if you go on the YouTube, look under retreats, you'll see Satipatthana retreat, all the, different retreats that I've recorded. You can go through them, like for like 6 hours worth of stuff, um, of talks and guided meditations. All right, let's. Dukkha patta chani dukkha, bhaya patta chani bhaya, sokha patta chani sokha, hantu sabbe pipaniyo, etavata chamehi sampatang punya sampatang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya, akasata chabumata deva naga mehitika punyang tang anumoditva charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours that we've thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sad, sad, sad. All right, friends, we come to the end of another Dhammapalooza. Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well, and may you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again, which, if I'm alive, well, could be tomorrow morning for morning monastery experience, now with a half-hour of meditation every day at 8 a.m. New York time, or perhaps on Saturday on Insight Timer for the Insight Timer session at 3 p.m. New York time, for sutta reading in the Discord community Sunday nights, or if I'm alive next week, Monday for another Dhammapalooza. So friends, have a good week.